Welcome to the Writer's Toolbox. Today we're going to be looking at concluding essays. Let's suppose that you've written an incredible essay. You have something very profound to say which you've articulated in a very strong thesis statement. You have some subclaims which are also very strong. They're supported with textual evidence and 3 tiers of analysis. You've said something profound and you've built your essay up to something really interesting. Then all of a sudden it just finishes. It just drops off. This is because your essay doesn't have a strong conclusion. Conclusions are used to bring all the threads of your essay together. Essentially, they contain the information that you want your reader to walk away with. It's like wrapping your essay up at the end by tying all your ideas together to have something profound to say. Warning: do not introduce new information in your conclusion. Your conclusion is not used to develop arguments or to bring in new ideas. Your conclusion is really just to wrap up everything that you wanted to say and give your reader something to think about. You can think about your conclusion as a triangle that's made up of 3 different sections. This is like the opposite of the introduction. At the top, you restate your thesis statement. Then, you summarize what you have to say, and finally, you give your reader a takeaway. Here, you move from specific to vague. Let's have a look at these in more detail. The first part of your conclusion is the related thesis statement. Here, you're repeating the central claim of your essay in different language. You're reminding your reader what it is that you wanted to prove. The next section is a summary. Here, you're briefly reviewing all the main ideas of your essay, and you're asking what are the key points that I have made in order to support my thesis statement. These 2 sections here is like concluding your essay by wrapping up all the things that you've already said. Finally, you're giving your reader a takeaway. This is a final thought for your reader to walk away with. This thought should build upon the significance of your argument but not require any extra explanations to understand it. This you can think about by asking yourself the question of so what? You've proven your thesis statement, but so what? What is the significance of this? Let's have a look at an example, the same example that we used for our introductions with Richard Wright's Black Boy. Once more, just for some context, Black Boy is a memoir by Richard Wright. It describes his life as he moves from the South America, which was dominated by a system of racial oppression known as the Jim Crow laws, to the North, where he gets involved with communism. Throughout the entire story, Richard experiences hardship, hunger, and the judgments of others, including his very religious grandma. Once more, we are asked to write the same essay with a prompt. How does Richard Wright use symbolism to develop a theme in part 1 of his novel, Black Boy? Let's suppose that we've written an incredible essay that has a strong introduction. The thesis statement in his memoir, Black Boy, Wright conveys the harshness of racism through the symbols of hunger, geography, and illness. This is supported by the subclaims. Hunger is used as a symbol to highlight Wright's desperation to escape his situation. The North of America is symbolic of hope and freedom, which by contrast illuminates the drab, oppressive South. And Wright uses illness in the novel as a symbol for suffering in order to emphasize the cruel living conditions of African Americans in the South of America. All of this has been articulated well in an essay that has strong textual evidence analysis also. So, we finished writing that and we're left with our thesis statement, with our conclusion. What's the first thing we have to do? Well, we have to restate our thesis statement. Our original thesis statement is, in his memoir, Black Boy, Wright conveys the harshness of racism through the symbols of hunger, geography, and illness. What we want to do now is we want to remind our reader of what it is we've proven, but use different language. So we might say, Wright uses hunger, the divide between the North and the South of America, and sickness to symbolize the harshness of racism in America. Here we've used the same point, however we've not used the same language, so we've avoided being repetitive. Next, we want to summarize all the things that we have proven. So, the three things that we've proven are over here: the subclaims to our thesis statement from the paragraphs, that body paragraphs of our essay, and we want to wrap all these up by concluding them in a brief summary. Perhaps we could write: the protagonist's desire for a better life, as well as his desperate need to escape his position in society, is captured through his consistent need for food, which relentlessly plagues him throughout the text. The desire is also present in another symbol of the text, Richard's aspiration to move north, that reflects the depravity of the life in the south. What's more, a lot of characters in the text become physically sick, mirroring their unjust social suffering with meaningless physical pain. What have we done here? Have we summarised our 3 main points? Well, yes. We've said that hunger is used as a symbol. We've also said that the north is symbolic, which highlights the depravity of the south, and we've also talked about the sickness and illness, which mirrors the social suffering with physical pain in a symbolic fashion also. So here we've sort of wrapped up all the things we've used in order to prove our thesis statement. Finally, once we have all this, we want to give the reader a final thought to walk away with. We look at this and we think, well, what is it I can say about my essay? What's the significance of my essay without having to introduce a new idea that requires further explanation? Perhaps I could say this: despite being a memoir, Wright has utilised literary devices to enhance the portrayal of these early years in the South. This has resulted in a more poignant depiction of a troubling time in American history, which may have been lost if the author decided to objectively depict his story in a plainer writing style. What I've done here is I've gave the reader a significant thought to think about, which doesn't require any extra textual evidence, it doesn't require any extra explanations, because the essay that comes before it is the explanation for that final thought. So, finally, I have this conclusion. I introduce it with a transition word relevant for conclusions. In this case here, I've used "in sum." I have a thesis statement that's been restated, I have a short summary of my essay, and a final thought for the reader to walk away with. When you're writing conclusions, I would like you to remember the following things. Conclusions are used to bring all the threads of your essay together. They contain the information that you want your reader to walk away with. They do not introduce new ideas. And also, you can think of them like a triangle separated into 3 parts, where you have the very specific restated thesis statement, a summary, and a final takeaway that your reader can walk away with, having better understood the text from your essay. Thank you.